Joe DeRosa telling him to shut up. Pierce buries it right to Harrington's face.
I often get asked why I like basketball, and to be honest, it comes down to two things: the euphoria of winning and the agony of defeat. The storylines that branch off as a result of these two simple concepts is enough to make you want to stick around. One of the storylines revolves around managing relationships within a team to achieve success, which is not always as straightforward as it may seem. A legendary figure in basketball, Coach K, once said,
"That means you constantly going at people with all the talent, and if five can play as one, that means you're not going to get there alone."
A sentiment so straightforward that any person with common sense could come up with it. Teamwork is a concept so entrenched into basketball that when discussing the legacy of a player and where he ranks all time, usually the first thing to come up is his team accomplishments. And no matter how hard an individual may try, no one man can do it alone. Even the consensus greatest of all time, Michael Jordan, didn't win without a Hall of Fame supporting cast around him. In sports, you are defined by your wins and losses, which is deeply intertwined with team success. This is a cold reality because in all honesty, winning is in high demand with a low supply. But unlike other sports, basketball is special. With the proximity to fans on the court and the lack of equipment obscuring their personality, it gives fans the most personal and up-close experience when it comes to team sports. And because of the many unique styles of basketball, it allows people to curate their own personal identities within the confine of the court. And while no player can individually win, this access to individualism allows players to have unprecedented control of the flow and outcome of a game. One of the most intriguing moments in any basketball game is when a player systematically dismantles the defense in a one-on-one showdown. This is known as an isolation play. The energy in the arena surges as the duel unfolds between the two competitors, for this battle goes beyond the surface. It's a statement of supremacy, a silent declaration that I believe I am better than you. This tension sets the stage where one player's reputation teeters on the precipice of embarrassment. And while there are instances where the defense manages to hold its ground, whether it be forcing the opposition to pass the ball or shutting them down with a steal or block, more often than not, it's the defender left in the wake of a career-defining highlight. A perfect example of this basketball drama unfolding on the court is when Kyrie Irving faced off against Brandon Knight, a moment etched into the minds of basketball fans forever.
3-2 type of guy to defend the team's small forwards.
Oh, no! It is nothing that you would rather do in an all-star game but to cross someone over, make them fall, and hit the jump shot.
Isolation in basketball is something you see multiple times every game. An isolation play is when the offensive player has the ball and isn't in close proximity to any of his teammates. This forces the defense to spread out, limiting the amount of help defense that can be played, leaving their teammate to fend for themselves. This allows the individual talents of both players to shine or be exposed. A term used for these situations is that the defender is on an island, isolated from the rest of his team. In recent years, the isolation play has become increasingly popular due to the modern style of the NBA. With the three-point line becoming so valuable, more and more players are learning to make it at a high mark. This is in stark contrast to the game even a decade ago, where the court was clogged by having two inside bigs. But due to the style of positionless basketball, more teams are willing to switch on the floor during situations where their man breaks free. This has led to an increase of mismatches on the floor, with teams' best offensive players often opting to go one-on-one against a weaker defender. In these moments, where a highly skilled offensive player is toying with a weak defender, it has resulted in some of the most exciting moments in recent basketball history.
I thought it was going to be
hard. Oh, he stared at Wesley Johnson.
Then when he gives Private Victor some love.
One-on-one scenarios generate a lot of organic hype and excitement due to our human nature of seeing one-on-one combat. Being on an island lets you experience the purest form of basketball because it strips away all the plays, schemes, and outside interference. It just comes down to who is the best. This is why, over the last few years, there has been an outcry to implement a 1v1 tournament during the All-Star Weekend. This would allow you to see stars display their talent against the very best in the world. But due to the nature of someone almost guaranteed to be embarrassed, some stars would be reluctant to join. Because of the climate we live in, where everybody has an opinion and is ready to tear down a player's reputation, the risk to reward ratio is not appealing to most. Imagine if LeBron were to lose in the first round. You would never hear the end of it from a source like Skip Bayless. Therefore, this deters many stars from participating due to the potential backlash they might receive. A similar thing happened to the dunk contest, where in the past you would see legends such as Julius Erving, Michael Jordan, and Kobe Bryant participate. But if you look at last year's participants, we had Kenyon Martin, Trey Murphy, Jericho Sims, and Mac McClung. With all due respect to Mac McClung, I'm sure the NBA doesn't want a player that's only played in 4 games during his career to be the main attraction. But because of this lack of star power, we got a memorable moment from last year's contest.
You didn't do this at Carolina. Another arm in the rim. Oh, he's going to read the list. He was going to read it. He was going to read something. Let me see. Let's see what he got up there. Oh, that's weak.
When this first happened, I was sitting with my friends and we legit couldn't stop laughing. There was so much build up to it, like it was going to be the craziest thing we would ever see, but it was just awkward. And as more videos surfaced, it just got funnier. You can hear people confused in the stands, even the players are confused.
That's weak. Tell him. Third dunk gotta jump through his arm and his thing gotta jump through that motherfucker.
This was an embarrassing moment, and even though Sims played it off, he will always be remembered for it. For this reason, I don't see any way we could get stars to do a 1v1 tournament. The only time we get a glimpse of it is during the Rising Star and All-Star game. For example, in All-Star games in the past, we've had Shaq dribbling up the ball and taking an ISO possession. Even last year, we had a Jason Tatum versus Jaylen Brown battle, even though they were teammates. There are also times when legends square off, like the iconic clip of LeBron and Kobe going one-on-one.
To the rim. And Team USA slapping the floor here against the Mamba.
And while these moments are great, my all-time favorite 1v1 situation happened during the 2014 Rising Stars game between Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dion Waiters. This occurred near the halfway point of the second quarter, when Hardaway was able to get by Waiters for a layup. But Dion Waiters is known for having a chip on his shoulder, so he comes down the court and blows by Hardaway, hitting him with a reverse layup. Now they've traded baskets, but because of their competitive edge, it's all about pride and getting the last laugh. But Dion Waiters is known for his ability to break down players in ISO situations. It was even dubbed Waiters Island when a defender found himself in this position. This naturally gives him the mental confidence to pull up and hit a deep 3 over Hardaway. Now this forces Tim Hardaway to have to respond. After he crosses half court, he just launches a bomb and hits it. And because of this, you start hearing a rumbling in the crowd because they know what's about to happen. Even the commentator, Chris Webber, said,
It's about to be a game, gentlemen. It's about to be a game.
You see, there's this unwritten rule in basketball, where if you and your opponent start trading baskets, you go until one of you can't keep up. As any athlete knows, there is a pride you must carry, and stepping down means you lose the battle. As Dion Waiters dribbles up the court, you see Tim Hardaway already clapping, ready for a response. When this happened, it reminded me of a famous clip during the Dream Team documentary when Magic Johnson was instigating his teammates in practice.
Tell him, this is what I'm gonna do to you. Fall away jumper, good. What did I tell you? So I said, no, Clyde, you better get him back. You better get him back.
He's basically saying you gotta get your get back, and these two did. This was such a hype moment because it takes you back to the playground. At the bottom of the screen, you see a young Kevin Durant and James Harden applauding this 1v1 because isolation is truly the purest form of basketball. But all that clapping from Tim Hardaway doesn't save him as Dion drops him and cashes in a pull-up 3. Everybody in the arena is now thinking the same thing. Tim, you gonna let him do that to you? No, go get your redemption. Now all concepts of a team game has been lost. These two are just trading buckets. Deep 3 from Hardaway, a pin down screen leading to a corner 3, but Dion wasn't going away that easy. He hit him with a pull-up mid-range. At this point, I don't even know the last time a teammate shot the ball. But when you give a sharpshooter like Hardaway a little bit of confidence, he turns into a flamethrower. During these exchanges, you get a feel for their personality and the way that they play, a sentiment that will come up later in this video. Tim Hardaway seems frantic, like he's trying to prove something, but Dion is calm, cool, collected, and calculated in his approach. Therefore, he was able to win the encounter, but in all honesty, the basketball fans won. This shows the potential of a 1v1 tournament, even though it is unlikely. But if they did have one, I think a dark horse winner would be DeMar DeRozan. Now, some of you are probably surprised I didn't choose a guy like Kyrie Irving due to his inhuman ability to control the ball on a string. Or a guy like James Harden, whose identity as a player is known for isolation. Or even a big like Giannis or Joel, who would impose their size to get an advantage. But DeMar DeRozan often shows flashes of guys like Kobe and Jordan who were able to show they were levels above competition in terms of individual greatness. Their exceptional footwork, combined with extraordinary athleticism and their ability to make tough shots, places them in a category of their own. Because of this greatness, it afforded them the trust to isolate anytime they want during a game. You could find them in these situations anytime during a game, for example, in the flow of a game, like a designed play where they have time to break down their defender.
Got Quavo on his feet. DeRozan knocks it.
Or at the end of a shot clock when they're forced to chuck up a shot to try to produce offense, and somehow they hit a miraculous shot.
Kobe Bryant pulls up. It's good again.
And even during the most crucial moments of games, like crunch time and during game-winning situations. For players like Kobe, DeMar, and Jordan, it's not just about their individual talents. It's about the irrational confidence they had that basically said, I don't need anybody else to score, I got this. That's what separates the greats from the rest of the pack. They had the, fine, I'll do it myself mentality. However, this isn't just a luxury afforded to these three players, but one available to every star across the league. Because when the game is on the line, there is a high likelihood that it will end in an isolation play. This is a common strategy because it allows your best player the most room possible to do whatever he can to get off a good shot. Allowing the star of the team to decide the fate is a huge honor that has led to legendary moments.
A chance to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long-range three. Harden trying to get free. Down to three, down to two. It's a three. Good! Good! He got it!
However, it's not always as euphoric as it seems, because the harsh reality is, a majority of these game-winning moments often leave the offensive player's confidence shattered. Missing a game-winning shot in the NBA can take a profound mental toll on a player. While the excitement and pressure of clutch moments are part of what makes basketball so thrilling, they can also be incredibly stressful. When a player has the opportunity to be the hero, to hold the team on his back, the weight of the world can feel like it's on his shoulders. Therefore, when they do miss, there is an immediate feeling of disappointment and frustration because they are aware they were trusted and believed in to win the game by their fans and team, but they failed. But because athletes are so prideful, the sting of missing a shot gets replayed in their mind, leaving them wondering what they could have done differently. Fans and media often react strongly to a missed game-winning shot, and the players have to deal with the criticism and scrutiny, both in the short term and the long term after a game ends. This was on display for the world last season in the playoffs, where Anthony Edwards had the chance to force overtime in a game in the playoffs. With the chance to extend the series, the ball was in his hands.
For Edwards, finally gets it to him. Edwards launches. No! And Denver survives!
The truth is, sports are unforgiving, and even the greatest players aren't immune to it. Kyrie Irving, widely regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time, isn't able to escape this cold reality that you can't make all the game winners. In those crucial moments, with the game hanging in the balance, even the most skilled and clutch athletes can face the unforgiving nature of sports. When a game-winning shot goes awry, it can make you feel profoundly alone, as the blame and scrutiny from passionate fans fall directly on your shoulders. In those moments, the isolation on the court can be emotionally taxing. But this feeling of isolation isn't just something that happens outside, it can also brew within the team. You see, your teammates might start to hold on to some resentment. They begin to think, you're the one getting all the special treatment, the big sponsorships, and all the media attention. You should be able to hit those game-winning shots. This internal tension widens the gap of isolation one might feel after failing to produce, leaving the star player feeling like they're stranded on an island, unable to connect with anyone, neither on the team nor the world beyond. It's a lonely place to be. For some, this pressure becomes too much and they crumble under the weight of it all, running away from the challenge. But for others, like Michael Jordan, it becomes the spark that ignites the killer instinct, a relentless determination to prove themselves time and time again. Jordan exudes an aura of invincibility within the realm of basketball. His influence extends far beyond the hardwood, leaving an undeniable mark on a global scale. His legacy isn't confined to his on-court accomplishments. His name carries such weight that his personal brand stands toe-to-toe against giants like Adidas and Apple. Jordan isn't just a basketball star, he's a cultural phenomenon. He's a symbol of excellence that transcends generations. The few individuals who tend to dislike Jordan sometimes seek to undermine his storied legacy. It's a human trait to challenge and dissect someone's achievements. And in the world of the NBA, this scrutiny occurs more regularly than any other sport. People will delve deep into Michael Jordan's career, meticulously sifting through history in search of moments when he wasn't his best. One reoccurring way people try to diminish him is by focusing on the rare instances where Jordan misses game-winning or game-tying shots. And in these moments, though infrequent, humanize him. The thing about Michael is he didn't try to hide from these moments. In fact, he embraced them. In a famous commercial, he candidly confessed to missing thousands of shots throughout his career.
I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed.
He would use these moments to motivate others watching, to embrace their failures and show nobody is perfect. But what truly sets him apart is his ability to show up when it matters most. Now, let's relive one of those unforgettable moments.
From Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead. Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship.
Wait, go back. A little further. There. Zoom in. We've seen him before. That's Steve Kerr, but where? Oh, here we are. Steve got to see individual talent up close and personal, so he knows firsthand what mental toughness it takes to be great. Part of being great is taking on the mental stress and building a mental and emotional shield around you that is impenetrable from any outside force. This shell allows you to have a rational confidence and not to worry about the fans, media, or even what your team thinks of you. He has a quote that I think resonates with every player.
I read a quote from Bill Walton recently, something like people play basketball the way they live their life, and I think that's really accurate. You can see what a guy's about. You can see who he is by watching him play basketball.
This holds true especially for stars, as they are required irrational confidence to shoulder the weight of an entire team. One individual who embodies this extraordinary confidence is Gilbert Arenas. He never shied away from taking the shot or being the center of attention. Whether it be during his playing days or on his podcast now, he remains unapologetically himself, never hesitating to express his views. While this persona might sometimes push people away, he remains unfazed. This unshakable confidence propelled him into the elite ranks of the NBA, making him one of the 450 players in the league. Not just a bench warmer or a six-man, but a legitimate star, even if it was for a fleeting moment. He often talks about how any great athlete needs some type of crazy. And this is true, we see it all the time. When Michael is yelling at his teammates, pushing them to the limits, and taking everything personal, it's laughed off because that's his winning ways and that's just Michael. Same with Kobe. The stories that are told about Kobe Bryant's dedication and hard work are admired. But Kobe has a history of conflict with teammates and coaches, which has been a major reason why some players leave the Lakers, or why some free agents choose not to join the team, because they couldn't quote-unquote handle the Mamba mentality. However, if either of those two weren't great or multiple-time champions, they'd be called crazy, and they'd serve as examples illustrating the potential adverse consequences of being excessively serious about one's craft. A way that this is seen is you don't hear stories about Kobe or Jordan being great teammates. It's usually stories of players talking about them spending hours alone, isolated in the gym, perfecting their game. This psychotic dedication to the game is what it takes to be a winner. It starts to form this mentality to always work and the need to sacrifice everything in your life. It slowly consumes your mind, leaving you feeling like you're alone because your peers aren't as dedicated as you are. Gilbert Arenas had the same experience and dealt with the same problem of grappling between isolating himself due to his dedication to the game and trying to trust his teammates when it's time to perform.
If I'm shooting 1,000 shots a day and you're shooting 200 shots a day, why the f am I passing you the ball? My bad shots is better than your worst shot. So think about someone who's sitting in the gym. The fact that I'm in there 5 hours a day and I don't see no one, you mentally always think you're alone. And then you tell me as a coach, hey, trust your teammates. How? Because, we get on the court and we in the war when the game started. I hope y'all don't expect to get this ball today. You four just take that ball out.
Now here's a clip of Kobe talking about the same thing, except with Shaq.
I'm open. I'm like, okay. And so we go out, and same thing. Hey, I'm open. Okay. You go. come back in, hey, dude, you got to throw me the ball. I said, man, fuck that. Get it off the rebound if I miss, bro.
As we see, this feeling of needing to take charge and only trust themselves is because they feel like they're alone when it comes time to be great. They are alone before practice, and they are alone after practice. When you think about it like that, are they really wrong? Whether you think it's justified or not, the gap of feeling alone in a team sport starts to expand. To the point, when you're on the court, you end up with shots like this, or this, or this. And even though it's a rational shot to you, you start getting the narrative of being selfish or a ball hog. Something that the media and fans aren't afraid to hold you accountable for. When you are taking a ton of shots, whether they be good or bad, many will start to critique your play even if you're playing well. This is because it's a team, and usually if you're going one-on-one or one-on-two or even 3-on-1, that means there's a better shot somewhere. A player that took a lot of criticism throughout his career is James Harden, who oftentimes received a lot of hate for the way he played. When people watched the Rockets, they hated it because they saw 4 offensive players standing away from the ball and watching Harden dribble into a drive or a step back 3. And a common reason people don't like this is because it's proven not to work when it comes for postseason success. But should the Rockets play a style of basketball that gets them wins, or should they change to a more team-oriented approach, leading to more losses? But at least they're not playing hero ball anymore. It's a complex question to answer. When somebody says this about a player, they are implying that their style of play, where a single player tries to be the team's hero by taking many low percentage of shots, is a bad thing. This makes a painful experience for even the most die-hard fan, but sometimes it's necessary. Like Kobe and Gilbert both said, for most stars, they work so hard and they work so much harder than the average NBA player that even their bad shots are better than the teammates shooting. However, this mindset can have an adverse effect. This can often lead to teammates feeling like they're useless or an underachiever because they aren't given enough confidence by their teammates to perform at a high level. Kobe expressed this sentiment in an interview where he didn't know how his play was affecting his teammates.
I had a teammate that spoke to me and said, hey, Kobe, you know, I just want to feel like as a teammate, you need me. I was like, well, duh. I can't, you know? Like, that was my immediate reaction. Yeah. Like, dude, yeah, of course. But I had to kind of think about really what he was saying and where that was coming from for him.
This is not surprising, given Kobe's reputation as being a one-on-one powerhouse. But here's the thing. Finding the balance between making your teammates feel valued and doing what's best for the win can get tricky. Sometimes it means giving the ball up and letting your teammates be involved heavily, while other times it means I'm taking all the shots and your teammate runs up and down the court getting cardio for the next 5 minutes. It's a harsh reality, but it's true. Now don't get me wrong, every star wants to make their teammates happy. But here's the thing, when they lose, it hits the superstar a whole lot harder than it does their average player. So I'm going to do whatever is best for us to win, and if that creates separation between us, then that is what it is. That's just something that the teammates will have to live with. That's the lonely side of being a superstar. Being a superstar comes with its peaks and valleys. It opens doors to a life that's nothing short of a celebrity whirlwind. While you get all the glitz and the glamour, but you also get the blame when things go south. When the team wins, it's a group effort and a collective high five. But when they lose, the spotlight shines right on the superstar, and it's entirely their fault. This is a concept known throughout the league, and one that Allen Iverson touched on when LeBron James first entered the NBA.
Right now, they love you right now, but please believe me, the first incident, the first time something happened, they are waiting, man. They're waiting, man. They're waiting.
And this was true for LeBron when he failed to get past the Celtics in the finals. Was it his fault that he couldn't get past the Hall of Fame trio of the Celtics? Was it fair for him to get all the blame from the fans and the media even though his supporting cast wasn't that good? No, it wasn't. But he still had to bear that weight. And carrying all this weight, he passed this knowledge down to future NBA players.
Never play to the level of competition because they always gonna look at you. They're gonna look at you. They're gonna look at you. They're gonna look at you. The team is winning. It's all about the team. As soon as the team lose, who they gonna blame? They're gonna blame you. They're gonna blame you. They're gonna blame you. Every single time the team loses.
In the world of the NBA, superstars bear an immense burden of constant evaluation. Every game they step onto the court knowing that every move, every shot, and every decision will be scrutinized. It's a paradoxical reality, because at its core, basketball is a team sport. Yet as a superstar, you are ultimately judged alone when your career comes to a close. This isolation can breed a feeling of loneliness and even resentment, as the sting of defeat often falls squarely on the shoulders of a star player. This is even in despite of the myriad of factors at play. stars grapple with the question, how can I trust that you'll give everything you have in this game in the pursuit of greatness when the consequences of losing won't affect you in the same way they do for me? In sports, trust in one's team is paramount. However, it becomes increasingly difficult when the outcome hinges so heavily on individual performances. For most players, losses may be disappointing, but they fade into obscurity. But for the elite few, like LeBron James, every loss in the finals is a blemish on their legacy. Their every move is dissected, and the record becomes a central point of contention in legacy conversation. People tend to overlook the collective effort of a team and focus on the individual, and it's a weight that only the superstar truly understands. Flaws and even those beyond their control become glaringly magnified, shaping the narrative of their careers in a way that is often unfair and unforgiving. Let's look back at Game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals. We are dropped in the fourth quarter, and LeBron has put up a historic performance and has the chance to take a game from one of the greatest teams of all times. But fate is not in his hands. It's in the hands of George Hill. All George Hill needs to do is knock down 2 free throws, which shouldn't be a problem for a career 80% free throw shooter. He sinks the first one. All he needs is one more to solidify an all-time game from LeBron. Oh, he missed it, but that's okay. Look, JR is right there with the rebound. There's still time left. Let's see what he'll do. Wait, where is he going? He's running the wrong way. LeBron, in an absolute moment of bewilderment, doesn't even put his hands up for the ball. All he can muster is a point towards the hoop. But before JR can even comprehend what is happening, time runs out. And the pure confusion on the court adds to it all. Everybody is looking around and has their hands up, questioning, what did you just do? These two players, George Hill and J.R. Smith, will likely be lost to the annals of basketball history. And yet, they erased a career-defining game for one of the all-time greats. In a game where individual achievements are everything, it's almost cruel how your own team can take it all away. This further separates the stars from the average players, because every time they step onto the court, they're being criticized and every move that they make adds to their legacy, while their teammates just get to fade into the background. Being a star in the NBA has its upside. As I previously mentioned, the celebrity status. You get to play a game for a living and you're earning millions of dollars. But there's a dark side that's not often talked about. Many experiences of being a superstar can be isolating. To the fans and media, you are not human, rather an actor in their lives, and they disregard your feelings when they talk about you. They will say you don't have that killer mentality or you're a failure because you're trying your best to be a team player in a team game and you come up short. But then if you start taking things into your own hand, you're suddenly a ball hog and you're trying to be the hero of the team. This isolating feeling from the outside world slowly starts to creep into your mindset, leading you to feel alone in a team setting. This could be because your teammates aren't working as hard as you to be great, making you think you're alone. As a result of this feeling, you start to pull back and say, I don't need your guys' help, which causes them to feel useless when it comes time to perform. This creates a tier system where you're a step above them, again creating a divide. But when they ask to feel important, now it's balancing making your teammates feel happy versus finding the optimal path for victory. If you choose to make them happy, you may build up resentment towards them because they might have too much control of your own legacy. Becoming a professional athlete is a dream for many, but it also comes with a set of challenges that can isolate you from ordinary life. One of the most significant challenges lies in maintaining relationships with friends and family. Firstly, the demanding schedule of a professional athlete can wreak havoc on their ability to spend quality time with loved ones. Training sessions, games, and travel commitments often consume a substantial portion of their daily lives. This hectic lifestyle can lead to missed family gatherings, birthdays, anniversaries, and other important events, causing a strain on familial bonds. In addition, the spotlight that comes with being a professional athlete can also disrupt personal relationships. The constant media attention and scrutiny can invade an athlete's personal life, making it challenging to shield their loved ones from the spotlight. This can lead to privacy concerns, conflicts, and a sense of vulnerability that further isolates the athletes from their support network. Lastly, financial disparities between athletes and their friends can often create tension. While professional athletes often earn substantial incomes, their friends and families may struggle financially. This can lead to uncomfortable dynamics and strained relationships as athletes may feel obligated to provide financial support or navigate the jealousy and resentment of their people around them. All of this mental stress a player has to go through isn't normal and is bound to have some adverse effects because sometimes when you get famous, you lose ownership of your own private life. These days, players know they can't do much without the world seeing it. Everyone wants to know what's going on or be able to have access to your life. So sometimes you just want to be able to write something down and fold it up on a piece of paper and put it in your pocket, so it's just for you. It's the only way you can get any type of ownership of privacy when you're in the public spotlight. People will dig up any information on an athlete to try to tear him down. There are no boundaries nowadays, and people will say anything to affect you. Gilbert Arenas experienced this when he came back to the NBA after being suspended for having a gun in the locker room, and he admits that the fans got to him mentally.
When I got back on the court after the gun situation, has nothing to do with this. Thinking what people's thinking had me thinking, right, for the first time. And from there, it's like, I'm at the free throw line. What are they talking about? Like, it just, all of a sudden, I let the world inside.
Mental health is a topic that has become increasingly popular in our society over the last decade. A few years ago, DeMar DeRozan and Kevin Love were two of the first people to talk about mental health problems for athletes in general. The challenges faced by athletes due to the isolation and external pressures can be overwhelming.
Being a pro is extremely lonely. For me, the hardest and the toughest thing is you making that sacrifice of losing friendships, kind of being more distance from your family.
And DeMar DeRozan opened up about this and what it was like for him the first few years of his career. But for most people, they turn a blind eye to it because their knee-jerk reaction is, how much money do you make? Oh, okay, you make millions of dollars, stop complaining. This again makes the athlete feel invalid, and they might not open up because growing up, you're not supposed to show emotion.
You better not cry. You better
Right,
not do
exactly,
so.
yeah.
It was always like...
We didn't show love. We didn't do no hugging. We didn't do a whole lot of that thing. You were supposed to be emotionless.
Yeah.
As a man, you're supposed to be tough.
Yeah.
You don't fear anything. You don't show emotion because showing emotion is a sign of weakness.
You always needed to be tough when you grow up, and if a player receives backlash for opening up about mental health and their emotions, the likelihood of somebody else opening up is near zero. The NBA operates in an industry where results hold an immense amount of significance, and the accessibility to game stats has reached unprecedented levels compared to previous years. Nowadays, during a basketball game, anyone can pull up a player's stats and form judgments based on their performance. These results aren't just available to fans, but are also scrutinized by team management. In some instances, if a player experiences a performance slump over a few games, they could even face the possibility of being released from their team. However, it's crucial to recognize that receiving such instant and constant feedback isn't necessarily healthy for an individual. Imagine if the same principle was applied to school or work, where your grades or job performance were publicly broadcasted and rated in real time. This constant scrutiny will undoubtedly subject you to unrelenting stress and take a toll on your mental well-being. In such scenarios, people may find it increasingly challenging to maintain their motivation to attend work or school, potentially leading to negative consequences for both the individual and the institution. The intense focus on results and instant feedback prevalent in the NBA can serve as a microcosm of the broader world we face today. In many aspects of life, we are exposed to constant evaluation and judgment, which can have effects on our mental health. Beyond sports, we see the same pattern of intense scrutiny and pressure in various facets of modern society. In the age of social media, for instance, people are continually bombarded with achievements and highlights. This constant comparison can exacerbate feelings of inadequacy and loneliness. Individuals often find themselves chasing unattainable standards and trying to measure up to others' seemingly flawless lives. This perpetual race can lead to mental health struggles as the weight of expectations and the fear of falling short become overwhelming. Loneliness can set in as people become increasingly isolated, believing that they are the only ones experiencing these challenges. The pressure from peers to conform to a certain mold or to achieve certain milestones can be intimidating, making it difficult for individuals to pursue their own path and prioritize their mental well-being. The fear of judgment and the relentless pursuit of external validation can take a toll on mental health, contributing to factors such as anxiety, depression, and loneliness. This is the truth that many players experience, and last season, Draymond Green let the world know.
At some point, the players must be respected in these situations, and it's ridiculous, and I'm sick of seeing it. When Kyrie Irving say, oh, my mental health is off, everybody go crazy about that too. Do you not think that affects someone mentally? As much as we put into this game to be great, to come out here and be in shape, to produce for fans every single night, and most importantly, to help your team win, do you think that doesn't affect someone mentally?
Kyrie has earned a bad reputation over the past few years due to things off the court. Of course, there was the controversy where he missed a significant portion of games. Then he tweeted out a link to a movie that had hurtful themes leading to another suspension. And last season, he had multiple disagreements with Nets management. It's safe to say he's a very controversial player. The relentless and often vicious criticism directed at him is not only hurtful, but also crosses the line which no human should ever endure. It's as if he's constantly under an unforgiving microscope, where even the slightest misstep or mistake is pounced upon with merciless fever by both fans and the media. This unrelenting scrutiny creates an atmosphere where he is perpetually walking on a tightrope, knowing that any misjudgment, no matter how minor, will result in a torrent of disparagement and condemnation from all corners. And yet, he doesn't let it bother him. If he was any other person, he probably would have folded, but he has protected his mental health and stopped worrying about others' perception of him. He has also found this tribe of people that love and support him. This allows him to weather any storm. Instead of trying to explain what Kyrie is talking about, I'll just let you hear him speak. I hope you can find something of value in his words.
That's another root of human struggle, worrying about other people's perceptions about who you are. Like, why would you ever care about that, you know? And I think that I fell victim to that in my past, of worrying about things that I can't control. You know, if the people understood what words could do to a human being, especially where we are in today's society, then they wouldn't be invested in that. That goes back to the importance of self-love. Like, who cares what ESPN says or anyone says? Like, I love myself, I love my family, I love my friends, I love playing basketball, I'm grateful to do it every day.
Loneliness is an experience that touches each of us at some point in our lives. It's a pervasive condition, almost like a sickness that travels geographical boundaries. Paradoxically, in an age dominated by social media and digital connection, studies show that many of us are feeling more isolated than ever before. Despite the potential for global connection, the human experience of loneliness has deepened. In Japan, there's a phenomenon known as the hikikomori, where an individual isolates themselves due to immense societal pressures and the struggle to meet its standards. These individuals find solace in seclusion, avoiding the outside world as they grapple with their internal battles. The frequency of such cases has seen a significant rise, especially with the advent of the illness, turning this into a global issue. During the pandemic, as we all grappled with isolation, it became alarmingly easy to withdraw within ourselves, neglecting the importance of human connection. Yet, connecting with others is a fundamental part to our happiness and well-being. Sometimes it's difficult to gauge if somebody wants to be a friend, or if they're feeling just as lonely as you are. Taking a leap of faith and reaching out to somebody can be the key to forging meaningful connections. Just asking someone if they'd like to be friends can be a small step that yields great rewards. Also, the same thing with just asking if someone's okay. Even those who seem to have numerous friends, in reality grapple with solitude when they return home. Loneliness doesn't discriminate. It's crucial not to succumb to sadness, isolation, and loneliness, as there's always a way to reach out to somebody. We should remember that we are not alone in our struggles, and the simple act of reaching out to somebody and making sure they are okay can make a world of difference in somebody's life.
Please don't suffer in silence. You don't want to suffer in silence, man. It's not worth it. And this is a memo to all you young kids. Please take care of your mental health. Please take care of your spiritual health. Please take care of yourself.